Australia is a country where there are twice as many sheep as people, and 1.5 times as many kangaroos as sheep. There are so many beaches here that if you went to a new one every day, in 15 years, it would only be half. Intrigued? This is an amazing, stunning country, where instead of sparrows and pigeons, there are parrots, where people are as relaxed as in Jamaica, but with a higher standard of living than in Europe. We present you with a selection of facts that you might not know, but which will definitely come in handy if you are going to travel there. Or at least so that you can show off your knowledge to your friends. Almost everything in Australia wants to kill you, but even wild dogs, poisonous snakes, and sharks are no match for enemy number one. When the second level of fire danger after moderate immediately goes high, it says a lot. Locals fear the sun like fire, literally. The ultraviolet index here is 10 times higher than in Europe, which means that after a half-hour walk in the open sun, you can get a sunburn, or even worse, get skin cancer. Adding to the list of Australia's natural dangers, let's not forget its notorious wildlife that lurks in unexpected places. Beyond the deadly snakes and spiders, Australia is home to the infamous box jellyfish, often found along the northern coastlines, whose sting can cause excruciating pain and, in some cases, even death. Then there's the saltwater crocodile, the world's largest reptile, which patrols rivers, estuaries, and even beaches. But it's not just the creatures on land and sea that pose risks. Australia's extreme weather can be just as perilous. Cyclones batter the northern regions during the wet season, and sudden flash floods can turn a dry landscape into a raging torrent within minutes. This unique combination of climate and wildlife makes Australia both breathtaking and brutal, demanding respect from even the most seasoned locals and tourists. The Australian Alps get more snow than all of Switzerland combined. Sydney last saw snow in 1836, but there are places where it falls every year. The Alps mountain range stretches across New South Wales and Victoria. The ski season here runs from June to October, when snowfall is plentiful. In addition to the well-known ski resorts and alpine activities, the Australian Alps are home to a unique ecosystem that sets them apart from other mountain ranges. Unlike the coniferous forests typically found in snowy regions, the Australian Alps feature a blend of eucalyptus forests and heathlands, adapted to the harsh alpine climate. This region is also home to several endemic species, including the mountain pygmy possum, one of the world's few hibernating marsupials. Furthermore, the high-altitude lakes and streams of the Alps play a crucial role in supplying water to the Murray-Darling Basin, one of Australia's most important agricultural regions. The blend of recreation, biodiversity, and environmental importance makes the Australian Alps a remarkable and lesser-known natural treasure. This is where the fashion for Ugg boots came from. Americans were the first to patent the Ugg brand, but Australia is considered the birthplace of sheepskin boots. At the beginning of the 20th century, they were worn by farmers and peasants, and now this fashionable, comfortable footwear is worn both outside and at home. Why at home? Because houses have poor thermal insulation, and when it is 15 degrees Celsius outside, it is not much warmer indoors. In addition to their early use by farmers and peasants, Ugg boots became popular among Australian surfers in the 1960s and 70s. After long hours in cold water, surfers would slip into these warm, sheepskin-lined boots to quickly warm up their feet. This practical use contributed significantly to their spread beyond rural areas and into more mainstream Australian culture. Over time, as surfers traveled internationally, they brought their Ugg boots with them, helping to popularize the footwear in other countries, eventually catching the attention of American brands. Interestingly, in some parts of rural Australia, traditional sheepskin boots were often handmade and sold locally before they evolved into the global fashion statement they are today. Some roads in Australia are so long and boring that signs have to entertain drivers. In addition to entertaining signs, some of Australia's longest roads feature strategically placed roadside trivia quizzes and fatigue zones with rest stops encouraging drivers to take breaks. These zones often have shaded picnic areas and even free coffee offered at designated locations to combat driver fatigue, a significant concern on such monotonous stretches of highway. Moreover, parts of these endless roads are equipped with solar-powered emergency phones, ensuring that help is always within reach, even in the most remote regions. The vastness of these roads isn't just about the distance. It's about ensuring that every driver reaches their destination safely, with a bit of fun and relief along the way. 1 in 4 Australians is an immigrant. According to the latest statistics, 28.5% of Australians were born overseas, with the majority of immigrants coming from the UK and New Zealand, and many from China and India. In addition to the high proportion of foreign-born residents, Australia's immigrant population is highly diverse, with over 300 different ancestries represented across the country. This multicultural landscape significantly shapes Australian society, contributing to its vibrant culinary scene, cultural festivals, and multilingual communities. Cities like Sydney and Melbourne are particularly known for their global diversity, with neighborhoods that reflect various ethnic heritages. Furthermore, Australia's immigration policies, including skilled migration programs and humanitarian visas, have played a critical role in attracting a mix of professionals, students, and refugees, fostering both economic growth and cultural enrichment. This diversity has not only strengthened Australia's workforce, but also enhanced its international ties, making it one of the most multicultural nations in the world. There is a very high level of social support for the population here. If you have a large family, with 4 or even more so 5 children, then the benefits are so large that you can basically quit your job. Centrelink, the state welfare service, pays benefits for children up to 16 years old, and sometimes up to 19. In addition to the generous child benefits provided by Centrelink, families can also access various additional forms of social support, such as rent assistance, healthcare subsidies, and educational grants. For families with multiple children, the government often offers reduced or free childcare services, making it easier for parents to balance work and family life if they choose to remain employed. Moreover, Australia's Family Tax Benefit Scheme helps low to middle-income families by providing extra financial assistance based on income and the number of children. These benefits create an environment where families, especially larger ones, can enjoy a higher quality of life without significant financial strain, ensuring access to education, healthcare, and housing regardless of income level. Almost every park has a public barbecue area. Literally, every park has free electric or gas grills for cooking steaks, sausages, and other delicacies. Australians love picnics, and seafood is their second favorite after grilled meat, shrimp, oysters, lobsters. In addition to the free barbecue areas and the love for grilled meat and seafood, Australian parks often feature spacious picnic areas equipped with tables, benches, and shaded pavilions, making them perfect for gatherings of friends and family. Many parks also offer playgrounds, walking trails, and sports facilities such as cricket pitches and soccer fields, enhancing the outdoor experience. It's common to find freshwater fountains and restrooms nearby, ensuring convenience for visitors. Furthermore, during the summer, some parks host community events like open-air concerts, food festivals, and even outdoor movie screenings, turning these public spaces into lively social hubs. Australia, the land of giant sculptures. There are about 150 giant sculptures, so-called tourist traps, all over the country. Huge statues of animals, food, and various objects, located along the roads, attract the attention of tourists, encouraging them to travel to these places at least for the sake of a selfie with a cultural phenomenon. In addition to being quirky tourist attractions, Australia's giant sculptures often serve a deeper cultural purpose, reflecting local identity, history, and industry. Many of these larger-than-life statues were built in the late 20th century to boost tourism in small towns, but they've since become symbols of regional pride. For example, the Big Pineapple in Queensland not only represents the area's thriving agricultural industry, but also houses a museum and cafe dedicated to local produce. Similarly, the Big Merino in Goulburn honors the town's wool industry, while also offering an educational exhibit on sheep farming. Beyond their kitschy charm, these sculptures provide visitors with a unique way to engage with local culture, making the journey as memorable as the destination itself. Here, instead of paper money, there is plastic. Since 1988, Australian banknotes have been made of a special thin polymer instead of paper. Although plastic money is more expensive to produce, it lasts longer. Fun fact: if you tear a $10 note in half, both halves can be used as $5 notes. An additional fascinating aspect of Australia's polymer banknotes is their advanced security features, which make counterfeiting extremely difficult. These notes incorporate transparent windows, holograms, and intricate microprints that are nearly impossible to replicate. Additionally, they are more resistant to water and dirt, making them highly durable in various environmental conditions. This innovation has inspired many other countries to adopt polymer banknotes, improving the overall longevity and security of their currencies. Failure to vote is punishable by a fine. If you are already 18 and you do not come to the elections without a valid reason, you will be fined from $20 to $50. This is, of course, interesting, but the fact that they consider it normal to come to the elections half-naked surprised us even more. In addition to the mandatory voting and the surprising dress code leniency, what's even more intriguing is the social pressure surrounding elections. In many places with compulsory voting, it's not just about avoiding the fine. Citizens often feel a strong civic duty and societal expectation to participate. Interestingly, some regions even offer quirky incentives to voters, such as free meals, small gifts, or entertainment at polling stations to encourage turnout and make the experience more enjoyable. Moreover, voters can sometimes spoil their ballots intentionally as a form of protest, allowing them to fulfill their legal obligation without endorsing any candidate, showcasing a unique blend of compliance and personal expression. It is not customary for locals to leave tips. In cafes and restaurants in big cities, tourists can leave a tip of 5 to 15% of the order. But if you don't do this, no one in Australia will be offended. In Australia, tipping is generally not expected, as service staff receive fair wages under the country's labor laws. However, in high-end restaurants or when exceptional service is provided, leaving a tip of 5 to 15% is appreciated, but not obligatory. Unlike in some countries where tips are a crucial part of a worker's income, Australian hospitality workers earn a livable wage without relying on gratuities. Additionally, it's worth noting that tipping for other services, such as taxis or hotel staff, is also uncommon, though rounding up the fare or leaving a small amount for exceptional service is seen as a polite gesture. In general, Australians value friendliness and good manners more than monetary tips, so a simple thank you often goes a long way in showing appreciation. Almost no one eats kangaroo meat. Kangaroo meat can be easily found in Australian supermarkets and restaurants, but Australians themselves treat this type of meat with disdain. More than 70% of kangaroo meat is exported to 55 countries. Despite kangaroo meat being a widely available and sustainable protein source, its consumption remains low in Australia due to cultural perceptions and concerns. Many Australians view kangaroos as a national symbol rather than a food source, which creates a psychological barrier to eating the meat. Additionally, animal welfare debates around kangaroo culling contribute to the reluctance of locals to embrace it as a dietary staple. Interestingly, kangaroo meat is lean, high in protein, and low in fat, making it a healthy option. Ironically, while Australians largely avoid it, international markets appreciate its nutritional value, with countries in Europe and Asia leading in demand for imports. 6 of the world's 10 most venomous snake species are found in Australia. The coastal taipan is considered one of the most venomous snakes in the world. The taipan's 13-millimeter long teeth contain an average of 120 milligrams of venom, which can kill its victim within 4 to 12 hours. After being bitten by other snake species, a person can survive for 24 hours. In addition to being home to 6 of the world's 10 most venomous snakes, Australia's reputation as a land of deadly creatures extends beyond just snakes. Among these snakes, the inland taipan, also known as the fierce snake, holds the title of the most venomous land snake globally. Its venom is so potent that one bite contains enough toxins to kill 100 adult humans. However, despite its lethal venom, the inland taipan is reclusive and rarely encountered by humans, which significantly reduces the number of fatalities. Interestingly, the venom of taipans is not only deadly, but also highly specialized. It contains neurotoxins that paralyze the nervous system and hemotoxins that cause internal bleeding. Thankfully, advancements in anti-venom treatments and awareness have greatly improved survival rates, with most victims able to recover fully if treated promptly. Only in Australia can you find herds of wild camels. Neither Egypt nor the UAE has as many wild camel herds as Australia. According to various estimates, there are currently about 1 million wild one-humped camels living in the central and northern parts of the country. Incredibly, Australia's wild camel population is not native to the region, but was introduced in the 19th century by British settlers who needed durable animals for transportation and exploration in the arid outback. Over time, these camels adapted perfectly to the harsh desert environment and thrived, largely because of the absence of natural predators. Today, they play a significant role in the country's ecosystem, though they are also considered a problem due to their impact on vegetation and water sources. Interestingly, Australia has even become a global exporter of camels, sending them to Middle Eastern countries where they are valued for racing and meat. This unexpected turn of events makes Australia the world's unlikely camel capital, both in terms of population and trade. The world's longest wall is not the Great Wall of China, but the dog fence. The dingo fence, 5,614 kilometers long, divides the Australian continent into 2 parts in order to protect sheep pastures from voracious wild dogs. In addition to being the world's longest fence, the dingo fence, also known as the dog fence, has had significant ecological impacts on the Australian environment. Built in the late 19th century and extended over the years, the fence successfully reduced dingo populations in sheep grazing areas, protecting livestock. However, the exclusion of dingoes, a top predator, has led to an increase in populations of kangaroos and smaller herbivores, resulting in overgrazing and changes in vegetation patterns. This imbalance has affected the soil quality and biodiversity in regions adjacent to the fence. Additionally, the fence is regularly patrolled and maintained by workers to ensure its integrity across the vast and often harsh Australian outback. Australians are too lazy to pronounce whole words. Australians themselves came up with the nickname Aussie, where Aussie is short for Australian, and Australia, respectively, is the land of Oz. Australians have a well-known tendency to shorten words, often adding a friendly or playful twist to their language. This habit isn't just limited to Aussie for Australian or Oz for Australia, it extends to many common words. For instance, afternoon becomes arvo, mosquito turns into mozzie, and barbecue is affectionately called a barbie. This linguistic quirk reflects the laid-back, informal culture that Australia is famous for. Interestingly, this tendency to abbreviate has even seeped into official terms, such as calling the national soccer team the Socceroos or the rugby team the Wallabies. These creative adaptations showcase Australia's unique approach to language, where brevity and humor go hand in hand. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating trip through Australia, a country full of wild beauty, unique traditions, and unexpected surprises. From the snowy peaks of the Australian Alps to the vast outback filled with kangaroos and wild camels, we've barely scratched the surface of what this incredible land has to offer. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more adventures like this one. And hey, if you ever find yourself in Oz, remember, don't skip the Barbie and always keep an eye out for those cheeky kangaroos. Stay curious, stay adventurous, and we'll see you in the next one.